And the first on the floor, please come, Lithuanian colleagues. I don't know who will come, Rita, Egle, Vaidas, and Helmutas. And please show us what is behind the theater curtain.
Hello, good day, everybody. So today, my colleague, researcher Vaidas Pudžaitis, and I, Rita Šimaitė, the conservator of art and paper, would like you to present our study on researchers and conservation of sketches from Lithuanian Theatre, Music, and Cinema Museum. Mstislav Dobužinski was born in Novgorod in Russia in 1875 into the family of an army officer and an opera singer. He considered himself to be of noble Lithuanian extraction, the family who came from Dobužiai town in Lithuania. Though Dobužinski spent a larger part of his life beyond the geographical borders of current country, his letters and creative work testify to his abiding love of historical homeland Lithuania. Famous scenographer, graphic artist, painter, and illustrator of books, Mstislav Dobužinski held one-person exhibitions in more than 20 countries and designed scenery for more than 40 operas, dramas, or even movies. In 1924, encouraged by Lithuania's ambassador to Soviet Russia, Jurgis Baltrušaitis, Dobužinski with his family settled in Kaunas. Next year, he created his first work at the State Theatre, settings and costumes for Piotr Tchaikovsky opera, The Queen of Spades. In this slide, you can see the sketches of a summer garden from the Act 1, Scene 1. Mr. Dobužinski's scenery is a work of real art. This is what press wrote then. Unfortunately, during the fire in 1931, which devastated the building of the State Theatre, many pieces of settings and costumes were lost. In 1934, Dobužinski created new sketches of scenery and costumes. And here you can see the sketches and the photo from the opening night, which took place on 14th of November. In the next few slides, I will show you some more sketches and them corresponding photos from the performance in 1934. The opera review at that time ran as follows. On the whole, staging is very moderate, reserved, and refined. Excellent scenography and costumes created by Mr. Professor Dobužinski contribute to that. It is not often that one can see such artistic knowledge of the epoch and its style that Dobužinski demonstrates. Cooperation with State Theatre lasted until 1939. The artist created settings and costumes for over 30 dramas, operas, and ballets, which had an impact on the development of the theatre. Art in Lithuania influenced the formation of Lithuania's scenography greatly, developed the taste of Lithuanian scenographers and audience of that time. The production of 1934 and Dobužinski's scenery and costumes was 4 times renewed and was shown until the year 1972. The collection containing more than 1,000 sketches of settings and costumes created by Mstislav Dobužinski, which is stored in Lithuanian Theatre, Music, and Cinema Museum in Vilnius, was included in the Lithuanian National Register of UNESCO's Memory of the World in 2009. The largest part of the sketches, here you can see them, created by for Piotr Tchaikovsky's opera The Queen of Spades, was conserved in the Pranas Gudinas Conservation Center of the Lithuanian National Museum of Art in 2020-22. As technological investigations showed, the sketches were made in gouache. This is a sensitive and easily damaged technique. The sketches were used intensively, both in creating sceneries for performances and in making costumes for the singers. Therefore, it is not surprising that the paper was badly damaged. Fortunately, the drawings were damaged only in the places of paper cracks. The surface was dirty, fingered with stains of different origins. Samples of the cloth used to make costumes were fastened to some sketches of the costumes. They were dirty and crumpled up. Apart from the author's signatures, all sketches contain lots of different inscriptions, remarks, stamps, and other signatures. The inscriptions were made using different means: pencils, ink of different shades, and Indian ink. And the stamps were also different. All these inscriptions and stamps have their historical value. In selecting the conservation method, the stability of the technology of creating the wax, gouache, as well as the stamps and inscriptions had to be taken into consideration. Having carried out the tests, it turned out that some of them were not resistant to humidity, others to ethyl alcohol. Therefore, the restoration technique of minimal intervention was selected. The surface was cleaned dry. The paper of the sketches was acidic, ranging from 5.5 to 6.2. Therefore, we wanted to alkalize it. However, aqueous alkalizing agents used in practice did not suit us because inks and stamps were highly sensitive to humidity, and it was a lot of them on the sketches. Non-aqueous alkalizing agents such as Colosil or Bookkeeper did not suit us because of their alkalinity. Seeking to avoid possible damage to the paint, it was decided to refuse alkalizing processes. Paper tears and cracks were glued and consolidated with washi paper and wheat starch glue. Paper for recreating the missing fragments was selected, taking into consideration the differences of the original papers. Gluing was carried out in a dry way, locally pressing it down with a small weight. The sketches were moistened in a humidification chamber where relative humidity was 90%. Moistening duration was about 3-4 hours. The sketches were straightened in a press between the sheets of woolen felt and Hollytex polyester. Pictures were retouched with watercolors in pointillism technique. Covers of high-quality paper were made to store them. Only a small part of the richest collection of scenography works created by Mstislav Dobuzinski was conserved during this restoration project. Chosen method of minimal intervention ensured that historically valuable inscriptions and stamps remained unchanged. The sketches, most of which can be considered as finished works of art, provide us with possibility to take a glance at the life behind the interwar theater curtain. The artist's workshop, rudiments of his conceptions, which later turned into large-scale works that adorned the stage of a state theater. And now, Vaidas, it is yours.
Thank you, Rita. So I'm Vaidas. I will continue with the second part of the presentation, which involves the study of Mstislav Dobuzinski's artworks. And as Rita already mentioned, more than 1,000 sketches of Mstislav Dobuzinski has been preserved, but to the best of our knowledge, they were only studied by visual inspection. None deeper studies were performed. Therefore, one of our objectives was to do a deeper study purely for documentation reasons. And of course, we wanted as well to find out what is the state of the paper by measuring its pH, and to do a deeper analysis of the pigments and other compounds which are found in gouache dyes. By doing that with minimal intervention methods, which is FTIR and X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, as well known as non-destructive methods, by measuring directly on the sketches without taking any samples. Therefore, we chose 11 sketches from the quite known opera, quite known Queen of the Spades opera. The choices were actually quite random. Only criteria for the choice was, to skip monochromatic images if possible, because there were some, but not too many. All the data obtained by our methods were summarized in the table in such a way that, for example, we have our sketches lined up in one direction against and plotted against the compounds which were found. I will not linger for too long on the table because it is provided in the documentation of the conference. But some additional data you can see down in here, which provides as well the dating and the size of the sketches, as well as measured pH, which showed that almost all of the sketches were quite acidic, and additionally we measured the lignin, if it was present or not present in the paper. For some of you it might be the new fact, but it is well known and documented correlation that the paper which does not have a lignin in it preserves much better. So our results, even it's not a big quantity of them, correlates with that quite well. As you can see, the highest value of a pH is found in a paper which does not have a lignin in it. Infrared spectroscopy or infrared microspectroscopy proved to be quite useful, especially in identifying organic and in some cases inorganic substances. As we can see in this example, two red pigments found in different sketches are from the different nature, and some inorganics can be identified as well. But every spot which we measured with infrared analysis, we as well reconfirmed where it was applicable with X-ray fluorescence elemental analysis. And by doing, forgot about this. Here is an example of infrared analysis of these two sketches that I showed before for red dyes. So as you can see in one of the example, we have found a red pigment, so named pigment red 83, which aligns with the database actually quite well. And in another example, we found another pigment which belongs to the pigment red 4 by the database, and it belongs to the azo group organic pigments having an covalent bonding. And as well, as you can see, there is no doubt that at least the class we are naming actually correctly. Additionally, we tested all the paper and we found that very common filler kaolin was present in every one of them. As I said, every spot was additionally reconfirmed were applicable with X-ray fluorescence, and by doing that, actually, we found some unexpected, at least unexpected for us, data that we will find a tungsten, or in other languages, a wolfram compound in a couple of the sketches in two colors. Tungsten pigments or tungsten compounds are known for that data time, but it is, at least by our knowledge, not really a common thing to meet in a watercolor dyes, because tungsten is known for its stability on a temperature, and it's usually used for ceramics. So here you can see one of examples and fragment of X-ray fluorescence spectra of the green paint, which was compared with a nearby paper, just to reconfirm that we don't have any contamination. And in here we can see that we first, of course, found a lot of zinc, which together with the barium was confirming existence of the lithopone, known white pigment. And a second group of peaks, so L-alpha and beta lines of tungsten, was found as well. We thought it might be a mistake, but as it repeated in several sketches, even in sketches we don't show here, as it does not belong to the Queen of Opera collection, was in some cases found. Unfortunately, we could not identify it very precisely with the two methods we chose to use, because as you can see, some of them, tungstates has a barium or zinc, which interferes with the lithopone. So this question was left for the future studies. But nevertheless, it reveals that Mstislav Dobuzinski was not very conservative, or let's say very experimenting when he was using dyes and colors in his sketches, because from only 11 sketches, which is considered like 1% of sketches we have at all, we see such a variety. Nonetheless, we can already distinguish some of the patterns. For example, that for lithopone or lead white was usually used in blue, red, and yellow colors as a mixture, but they were never used together. So in one sketch or another, never together. As well, ultramarine was mostly used for blue colors, and Prussian blue was mostly used for green or greenish colors. For red and brown colors, mostly we found a mix ochre, alizarin, azo pigments, and in one case, vermilion or cinnabar, as it is known. And of course, the tungsten, which I discussed already. So I would like actually to thank to all the team, all the restorers and the researchers who contributed to the Mstislav Dobuzinski's restoration and study works. And that's all, if you have questions for me.
Thank you very much, Vaidas and Egle. Maybe someone has also questions to Egle, not only to Vaidas. If no, I ask for myself. The great work is done, pretty big, and with research. Are you planning to have maybe exhibition about it in order other people can look behind?
Do you mean about the study research part or the work part?
Work part mostly
pictures,
for
yeah?
normal people, but maybe
you,
also research.
No, actually, no, we are not planning right now an exhibition, but we still have a lot of work to do, so maybe later on, in a few years, when we have more restored objects, so maybe then we'll invite you.
Okay, then good luck with further steps.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.